one is touching down at this point will be just south of the town of Barnes and moving to the northeast at roughly 15 miles per hour. So again, Waterville needs to be watching this very closely. Barnes was taken just out of the latest warning, but Waterville and folks that are right along Highway 9 between Waterville and Barnes, you are very close to a potential tornado. So this area right there between Barnes and Waterville has the highest risk of seeing a tornado touch down or seeing some tornado damage. That's a real possibility. I'm going to check the velocity or the debris mode again here. I want to see if I see any debris flying with this storm, as I do see a higher sign of rotation showing up on the radar there at this point. I don't see anything there that looks like an obvious debris signature. All right, there's an update on the tornado warning coming in now. Let's read this. So the National Weather Service here telling us, get the latest data on this. All right, back to reflectivity. There it is. All right, so there we go. Latest update. Till 7 o'clock, 6:30, the Weather Service is capable of producing a tornado 4 miles south of Barnes, moving east at 15, and flying debris and all that stuff. Okay, so they're saying it is located about 4 miles south of Barnes as of 6:30, so that's just about right now. Let's get a distance on that from the radar here. There's the town of Barnes, looking at about 4 miles south. That's what they're saying. We'll check that again, double check it. Okay, 4 miles south of Barnes. Always good to double check these things. And as I mentioned, the rotation from what I see is that area right about there. So the community of Waterville should be the most concerned about the potential for a tornado at this point. Blue Rapids, you should be taking shelter as well. And this has changed direction a little bit. When we were talking about this initially, when it formed near Greenleaf, we had it moving northeast at 15 miles per hour. And now this rotation, they're mentioning it moving east at 15 miles per hour. So you'll see those changes once in a while. Waterville, Blue Rapids, right along Highway 9, take shelter right now. This is a dangerous storm. It's going to produce winds of likely 60 to 70 miles per hour, hail the size of quarters to ping pong balls as possible, and possibly a tornado. Again, that's the rotation showing up right there. About 5 minutes ago, the rotation appeared to be stronger on that last radar update, but still, you don't always get the radar once if it's. You don't want to take your eye off it or think it's relaxed because one radar frame comes in and doesn't look as nasty as a previous one. You really have to look at a couple of radar frames in a row to get a good idea what's really going on. But going back to the 6:29 p.m. radar loop or radar image right there, this was stronger than it looks right now. So that is a stronger tornado signature. This is still a tornado signature, but a few moments ago it looked to be stronger. That said, any tornado is certainly bad and dangerous, so Waterville and Blue Rapids, please take shelter right now. This is a dangerous storm that is moving in your direction. All right, we've got a report of a power pole down in Ottawa County. We've got a report of quarter-size hail in Barnes, and still a possibility of hail the size of ping pong balls and 70-mile-per-hour winds with the severe storm part of this activity. I'm going to zoom out here and see what hail zone is showing. And there we go. So there's the hail core showing up on our hail parameter here. About the size of ping pong balls coming down Highway 9 toward Waterville at this point. And it's a pretty big hail core, as a matter of fact. They're not seeing a lot of storms of hail cores at this point, but that one moving out of Washington County into Marshall County by far is the strongest thing going. So again, Waterville, Blue Rapids, you are in the path of potential tornado at this point. And this would be, I'd say, the definition of a rain-wrapped tornado. This is not going to be one that we could see for 20 miles or more, which sometimes we do get in this part of the world. Sometimes our tornadoes in Kansas are visible for a long way, which certainly helps in tracking them and spotting them. But this kind of storm, in this kind of environment, the temperature is close to 100 degrees and the heat index is worse than that. Dew points are deep into the 70s. This is going to be covered in rain. You're not going to get a picture of this or a video or whatever. So if you want to try to get out and check it out, I wouldn't. Just take shelter. If you're in Greenleaf or Lynn, you could look to the east and south and you may see something, but most likely you're not going to be able to see this thing. But the rotation on that is fairly persistent now. We saw it develop close to Lynn and Greenleaf right there and then dissolve, and then the new rotation show up down here south of Barnes, and now it's been going for maybe 15 minutes. kind of going to the east and maybe just north of due east. But Blue Rapids, Waterville, still, you guys are in the path of this. Again, the tornado warning going until 7 p.m. For this, and it's still Doppler radar indicated. We'll go back to the radar, reflectivity imagery here. And it's not for a big area. This is just the southeast part of Washington County and the southwest part of Marshall County. Marysville's not in this. The tornado warning earlier was going toward Marysville. I mentioned you guys might have a problem. Now the rotation is certainly staying well south of Marysville. You will see possibly some damaging winds around Marysville. You may even see some hail out of this. Maybe not. A lot of it looks like it's confined farther to the south. But certainly the rotation part of this is near Waterville and Blue Rapids. And those are the areas I'd be most concerned about by far at this point. Let me zoom this back out. And watching down the line here, I'm watching to see if we see more hooks develop in this area. So the north part of Riley County, right in there, we'll have to watch that and see if that becomes a new tornado warning. It very well might. This is starting to get more of a look like we've got the big cumulonimbus cloud here with a hook starting to kind of develop on the south side of this is what looks like happening to me. But the rotation on that still very much well rain wrapped, getting close to the towns of Waterville and then ultimately Blue Rapids. Again, it's slow moving. It's moving 15 miles per hour, which is enough time to take shelter from this if you're out ahead of it in most cases. But Waterville, Blue Rapids, I've been talking about you for a while now, and I hope you're taking shelter at this point. So there it is. Here's a rotation, very close to Highway 9, just south of Highway 9, getting into Waterville in the next few moments here. So if you're in Waterville, please take shelter right now. Again, this is Doppler radar indicated at this point. We don't have spotter confirmation of this being on the ground, but in a storm like this, it's almost certainly rain wrapped. It's unlikely anybody would see it anyway. You probably get the reports most likely after it caused damage, if in fact it does. I'm going to check out on my other system here. I'm looking at a camera on the other computer. I want to see if the Manhattan camera has any kind of look at this thing as I'm looking at kind of a distance from this. Again, the folks around Waterville, they should be taking shelter right now. If you are in Waterville, if you're in Blue Rapids, please take shelter. That's the area that's going to be in the most danger from this at this point. And I want to watch north from Manhattan. I'm setting up my camera now, looking that direction just to see if I see anything. But I really think it's going to be too far away and probably rain wrapped. So the area I'm concerned about next is this thing right about there. And we get into northern parts of Riley County. This is not a tornado warning at this point. I don't want to scare you just yet. I'm just letting you know what I'm looking at for kind of the next things down the road. This could be a rotation forming, and ignore that line I just drew there. That's the next rotation that's forming that I see. The current rotation, this is still a decent look at some rotation that's going on just southwest of Waterville. And as I take this back in time, we'll go back just a couple minutes there, right about there. That's at 6:28 p.m. 10 minutes ago. You can see the rotation was over here, and now it's made its way to just kind of southwest of Waterville. So what you're looking at there on this is going to be anything that's that green has the radar returns are moving toward the radar. The radar is near Alma, so you've got it going south there, and where it's bright red, it's moving away from the radar. So that's where we're seeing the possible tornado getting almost to Waterville at this point. All right, so back to the reflectivity. There you go. The tornado warning includes Waterville and Blue Rapids. Those are the areas that are most likely to be impacted by this. Moving very close to Highway 9. Looks like it's probably just south of Highway 9. I'm watching some of the information coming in. All right. All right. So again, tornado warning there for Waterville and Blue Rapids at this point. It is Doppler radar indicated. I do not have a camera on this. I don't have any spotter confirmation of this at this point. I'm going to look and see if I do have any viewer pictures coming in. We certainly might. I doubt it. And again, with this thing being rain wrapped like this is, it would be just about impossible to see this. Yeah, no pictures coming in just yet. All right, so Waterville, Blue Rapids, take shelter in those areas right now. For the rest of the area, we still have this severe storm watch that goes until 1 o'clock in the morning. So there it is. The severe storm watch goes until 1 o'clock in the morning for all the counties highlighted in orange on here. And, so you got Topeka in this, Emporia's in this, really everybody's in this. The WIBW DMA, or viewing area, the market area, includes Coffee County. So that's the only county that's officially in our Nielsen DMA area that's not in the severe storm watch. And I don't expect to see a bunch of tornado warnings out of this tonight. I really don't. What we do see is this one that has rotation with it that's showing up along a boundary that extends. I'm going to pan out here and you can see a little better. This is the boundary that extends close to Wamego up to Oldsburg, right here in the northern part of Riley County. And that's what concerns me, this next kind of notch forming there, the north central part of Riley County, that could become a tornado warning. It just might. We've seen it earlier. We had the tornado warning near Greenleaf and Barnes, and then the rotation started to migrate a little farther to the south. It reformed near just about 5 miles southwest of Waterville, and now it's moving toward almost right over Waterville, and then getting to Blue Rapids in the next few minutes as well. Let's zoom back in on this, see what we've got going on. Again, tornado warning goes until 7 p.m. Right now. We've got Waterville closest to this, and then Blue Rapids will be next. And once this gets into Blue Rapids, we'll probably get an update from the Weather Service. There's your rotation. It's really just right almost on Waterville at this point. It's not as strong as the rotation appeared a few minutes ago, but it is rotating enough to be concerned about a potential tornado in this. So Blue Rapids, Waterville, you guys should be taking shelter right now. This is not affecting a big part of northeast Kansas. It's a small geographic area in the tornado warning. Again, we have the severe storm watch going till 1 a.m. for most of the area, so we could have more warnings. I really don't think we're going to have a bunch of warnings, but if we do have another one come out, I would bet on this right here in the north central part of Riley County. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying if we were to have another tornado warning issue in the next 15 minutes, it would almost surely be that one, would be the next potential problem. But right now, the area that's taking shelter is going to be Waterville and Blue Rapids. I don't see that rotation as strong as it was a few moments ago. You can see the areas of bright pink are not on there like they were just a few minutes ago, but it is still rotating and moving into the southwest part of Marshall County. If you're in Marysville, over the town of Home, you're very likely going to be dealing with strong winds, very heavy rain out of this, but the hail and the tornado risk looks like they're going to be well to the south of Highway 36. Back on the reflectivity here, let's check that out again. There's your tornado warning. Barnes is out of this. Greenleaf is out of this now. We're concerned about Waterville and Blue Rapids. Those are the only two towns that are in the path of this at this point that we're seeing. And then back to the hail vision on this. Let's check out where the large hail is going to be. It was following kind of right behind the rotation on this, and the hail is probably the size of a ping pong ball getting close to Waterville to this point. There you go. As a matter of fact, the hail size has come down somewhat. Just a couple minutes ago, it was much bigger, getting out of Washington County, coming into Marshall County. Now it looks like the hail may actually be coming down in its size there. That's great news. All right, so we're looking at some improvements on this with the hail size coming down, and the rotation is not as organized as it was. There's a possibility this warning won't even make it all the way to 7 o'clock. That's a real possibility. Then I have to watch for this thing down to the south. If the Weather Service does issue another tornado warning, it might be that. So we're watching this area right here. That could be the next problem if they continue issuing tornado warnings on this. But for now, it is a tornado warning right there for the Waterville and Blue Rapids areas. You should be taking shelter right now, just in case. Again, it's Doppler radar indicated. It's not confirmed as on the ground. If it is, we will let you know immediately. All right, new severe storm warning issued. This is for Marshall and Washington counties and north central Riley. And that warning is for a big area, actually. It goes all the way, like I mentioned, from north central Riley all the way into Washington, even all the way to the Nebraska state line from Marshall County. All right, so the new severe storm warning goes until, what time is that one? 7:15 p.m. The tornado warning goes until 7 p.m., and I don't think it's going to make it all the way to 7 p.m. It's possible, I guess, but that rotation that's getting near Waterville and Blue Rapids is not as intense as it was a few moments ago. It's coming into Waterville. You can see the rotation pretty strong there, and as it gets into Waterville, now we're not seeing any of those clearer areas of the brighter pinks up against bright greens. We're not seeing it as intense as it was a few minutes ago. So it's a possibility this thing may be dropped in the next few moments here. It only goes until 7 o'clock. That's when it expires. But from what I see there, the rotation on that is it's going to be hard to imagine that producing a tornado. A few minutes ago, right about there, that rotation is much more impressive. So that was at 6:27 p.m. So take this forward in time, it is much harder to pick out anything in there that looks anything like that. So as we're getting into the Waterville area now, it doesn't look as impressive as it was a few minutes ago. Let's check out the debris mode on this and see if I have anything flying in the air there. And I don't see anything at all. That's near Waterville, and that is not all that far away from the radar, so it should not be causing any sort of problems there. It's not close to wind turbines or anything else that would impact the radar at all. So most likely this thing is losing its intensity, and we could see this thing drop the next few minutes. So kind of zooming out a little farther, looking at the velocity on this. You got the spin coming there, just south of Barnes, just a couple of miles. Forms right here going east at 15 miles per hour. And again, this may be producing winds of 60 or 70 miles per hour. The hail looks like it's less than quarter size from what I see at this point, but the winds are probably going to be the biggest danger from this, extending from areas from the northern part of Raleigh County all the way to Hollenberg, as a matter of fact. This is a big storm at this point and likely producing some wind damage in a few areas. Check out the reflectivity on this again, BR. I hear the tornado siren thing screeching. I bet they're canceling it now. That's my bet. They're canceling it. Okay, tornado warning canceled for Washington County, and make sure it's canceled for Marshall as well. Now, they dropped it out of Washington County. Okay, so Washington County is out of the tornado warning at this point. They're continuing for Marshall. Let's read the text on that. All right. National Weather Service says tornado warning remains until 7 p.m. for Southwest Marshall. 6:45, possible tornado near Waterville, moving east at 25 miles per hour. Tornado and $1/2 size hail are possible. So here's the deal. Anytime we have a tornado warning in the WIBW viewing area, we are going to cover it for folks. You know, that's what we do. If it's anywhere in our viewing area, we're going to cover it. So this looks like it's near Waterville and Blue Rapids at this point and moving east at 25 miles per hour. If you're in Waterville, take shelter right now. If you're in Blue Rapids, take shelter right now. If you're in Frankfort, keep in mind you have a rotating storm to your west that probably will not still be a tornado warning in a few minutes, but you know you are in the path of something that does have some rotations, moving 25 miles per hour. So Blue Rapids, take shelter right now. If you're in Waterville again, you should be taking shelter. Zooming back out on this, this is not a big part of northeast Kansas that's in severe storms. It is a small part of the area geographically. To the north, just saw a new tornado warning issued across the state line that's in Nebraska. That's near Beatrice, and I'll check out the velocity on that and just see what we've got. That's across the state line, and we normally don't look over there very often, but that could be a potential tornado just a few miles south of Beatrice, Nebraska. Now, the severe storm watch, as I mentioned, goes until 1 o'clock in the morning for most of northeast Kansas. In this situation, Coffee County is not included in the severe storm warning or severe storm watch, but if you read the text on these, what it will say is that severe storms are possible in and around the watch box, so please don't consider a National Weather Service severe storm watch or tornado watch to be like a fence. Storms can develop outside the watch area, and sometimes they do. Sometimes the watches change. Sometimes they move them around. In this case, you know, that's something that could happen. We may see it expanded to include Coffee County later in the night. Just because Coffee County isn't in it right now doesn't mean you won't be later on in the evening. That's still a real possibility. All right. So the latest in this tornado warning, they have canceled it for Washington County, and they continued it for Marshall County going until 7 p.m. That's 12 more minutes. Again, the rotation on that is not as impressive as it was a few minutes ago. We have a report of some wind damage in Ottawa County. We'll check that out in a few minutes here. But again, for folks in Waterville and Blue Rapids, you are the ones that are closest to this potential tornado. It is radar indicated, and as I'm watching in velocity, it is just not impressive at all at this point. All right, we've got a report from Ottawa County of a travel trailer flipped and destroyed. So I'm going to check out where that is. Zoom out, and I'm going to check out the Storm Spotter reports here. Back to reports. So we have report of some wind damage here of things being broken and a travel trailer being destroyed in that area. All right. So that would have happened. That was at 5:19 p.m. is when this damage happened in that area. All right. So right now we have the tornado warning continuing for a small part of Marshall County until 7 p.m. And a significant weather advisory being issued now for Dickinson County and Ottawa County for new storms that are developing in that area. But the active tornado warning is this dude right here that's close to Blue Rapids and Waterville, and it actually looks like it's got more intensity now than it did a moment ago. So there we go. Looking at the velocity on this, the reflectivity looks more impressive actually. There's kind of an inflow notch there near Blue Rapids and Waterville. So if you're in this area, you should be taking shelter right now. Potential for tornado. It is still radar indicated at this point. I don't have reports of this touching down. I don't have reports of funnel clouds, but this storm is going to be rain wrapped. This will be one that if you were trying to storm chase, this would be very hard to get an image of until you were too close to the storm to be safe. So this is not one I would encourage anybody to try to get video or pictures of. Please don't. This is going to be one that is just the definition of rain wrapped. But Waterville looks like the rotation is past you now, and Blue Rapids, it's heading toward Blue Rapids. Frankfort is downstream as well, and let me check the velocity on that again. It just looks to me like there's more of an inflow there than it was a few moments ago. The rotation and the velocity doesn't look to be as impressive. I'm going to zoom back out on this and check a couple levels on it. So the rotation was coming past Barnes here, looked pretty impressive for a minute, and it gets to Waterville, and you still see what looks like severe wind to me. But as it gets over to close to Blue Rapids here, we'll see if the velocity starts to ramp up. These areas of bright pink up here indicate there's probably some very strong winds that are getting close to Marysville and just south of Highway 36 there in Washington County. Back onto the reflectivity here, we still have severe storm warnings in place for that area. The mention from the National Weather Service is winds up to 70 miles per hour and hail up to the size of ping pong balls are possible in this big area from Greenleaf all the way to Marysville and home. Although the biggest hail from what I see is was just southwest of Marysville, was just southwest of Blue Rapids, and now there's actually more development here in the southeast part of Washington County, which is probably going to be a hail core as well. So that's a new one to watch for. That's not from when the storm was actually issued. The severe storm warning was issued. That's a new area developing kind of in the backside of this. But we need to watch the southeast part of Washington County for a hail core that looks like it's developing there from what I see. But right now, the most dangerous area, Blue Rapids, Waterville, tornado warning goes until 7 p.m. It is Doppler radar indicated. It goes for 8 more minutes. That's the length of this thing. And checking the latest from the Weather Service, they don't have an update for the last few minutes on this. But they were continuing this until 7 p.m. was the last update that we did get on this. All right, so till 7 p.m. Folks in Blue Rapids, you should be taking shelter right now. Inflow on that is more impressive to me than it was a few minutes ago. It's kind of right there. That's the inflow on this, and that can be a sign of tornadoes developing. That's the kind of thing that you do look for, especially in a storm that becomes more linear like this. The area where I saw looks like a hail core developing is this purple blotch right there in southeast Washington County, and that could be very large hail that's spiking kind of on the back side of the storm. I wouldn't expect it to become a tornado situation, but that's the kind of thing that produces very large hail. Hail vision wasn't showing it as extremely large a moment ago, but now it's starting to show up. So right there in the southeast part of Washington County near St. Peter Church, it looks like, is a location. That's a hail core that's developing, almost no doubt. I don't think that's a rotation or that kind of problem, but it's certainly going to be big hail that is developing there in the southeast part of Washington County. We'll follow this tornado warning area to the east right into Marshall County with this. All right, back to the velocity. Let's check it out. Blue Rapids and Waterville, you are the ones that should be taking shelter right now. And that rotation looks like it's kind of halfway in between at this point, maybe even just north of Highway 9. But that's where we have the tornado warning that's in place for 6 more minutes. I'm not sure if they're going to cancel this early or not. The rotation on this is not as bad as it was a few minutes ago, but I have seen tornadoes confirmed with a rotation that looked even like this. So if you're in that area, Waterville, Blue Rapids, please take shelter right now just in case. This is a situation where the storms are going to be so rain-wrapped, it would be almost impossible for a storm chaser to pick out if this is on the ground or not. So for the Weather Service, they're probably thinking that canceling this early may be a bad move just in case. You don't want to drop it and then reissue it for an area. So once it's already out and you've already got people watching it, you don't want to take it away and then have to re-add it. So that's the area of concern. The greatest possibility of seeing a tornado is going to be just north of Waterville and Blue Rapids, kind of right in there. That's where I see it now. Really just north of Blue Rapids is going to be the location where I'd be the most concerned. But anywhere in this polygon, anything in the white polygon is where the tornado warning is in place, and you are encouraged to take shelter immediately in that area. Again, I don't have confirmation of it on the ground. I don't have any storm spotters that are mentioning it at this point. And if I did have a camera close to this, I might not be able to see it anyway because it's going to be so rain wrapped. You wouldn't be able to see it unless you were truly just so close that it's about to hit you. So you'd have to have a camera that's within a quarter of a mile or less probably to see this. We've had some reports of hail about the size of quarters in parts of Washington County. We have reports of wind damage in Ottawa County from these storms. And right now, again, the tornado warning for that Doppler radar indicated rotation that's in the southwest part of Marshall County at this point. The line connects all the way down to Salina. I'll go ahead and roll through the graphics here and show you the supercast models and how this plays out the next few hours. Again, Blue Rapids, Waterville, you should still be taking shelter. Temperatures behind these storms cool into the 80s, even some 70s in the rain. The supercast shows these storms overspreading northeast Kansas through the evening. There's 9 p.m. This is actually the cold front moving in. The storms we're watching right now are along a warm front that are intersecting with the extreme humidity and the heat. This is a cold front that moves into this later this evening, and this is more likely to be a line, a more organized line, and the storms along this are more likely to be damaging winds. I don't expect to see a bunch of tornado warnings this evening. I certainly don't think that's going to be the case, but this one is just a unique situation where it's right along this warm frontal boundary where it has the possibility of dropping a tornado. All right, so National Weather Service canceling the tornado warning now for Marshall County. So with that, we will go back to programming. Now we have Marshall County is out of the tornado warning. That warning is for parts of Nebraska. Let's go back to the home view here. So the severe storm watch goes to 1 o'clock in the morning. We do have the tornado warning has been canceled for Marshall County. Blue Rapids, Waterville, you have a severe storm warning. It's not tornado warning at this point. And I don't see any possibility of this thing ramping up to be more tornadoes. I really don't see that as a possibility. I expect to see a bunch of warnings this evening for large hail and probably damaging winds to 70 or 80 miles per hour. The tornado risk is low, but again, we'll stay with us here. We'll have updates all evening, and we'll keep you safe and informed right here on the WIBW channels. Stay with us.